Welcome to Tech News Briefing for Thursday, May 4th. I'm Zoe Thomas for the Wall Street Journal. Israel has for years been one of the world's most vibrant hubs for tech startups, but a combination of global economic trends and investors' concerns over a proposed judicial overhaul in the country are making it hard for these young companies to raise money. In fact, in the first quarter of this year, the sector saw a 70% drop in fundraising compared with the same time last year, according to IVC Research Center. With me to discuss the situation is our reporter in Tel Aviv, Dov Lieber. Dov, internationally we've seen a pullback in investing, but how different is it for the tech sector in Israel?
Well, we've seen the same pressure, macroeconomic pressure, making challenges for fundraising for Israeli startups here in Israel, like they're experiencing around the world. Now, most of that decline is being attributed to the general macroeconomic environment globally, with investors pulling back due to high interest rates. We do know that Israel underperformed the global average in other tech hubs for raising money. And those tech hubs were also experiencing a downturn, but Israel's downturn was a little stronger. And therefore, that suggests basically that there's also the political instability is playing a role here. And when you speak to entrepreneurs here in Israel, they will tell you their own personal experiences about dealing with investors, and some investors telling them to their face that one of the reasons that they're pulling back their investment or they're holding off for now is because of Israel's own political instability that is connected to the judicial overhaul.
Dov, can you just remind us about that judicial overhaul? What's going on and how is it specifically affecting the tech sector?
So back in January, a brand new Israeli government said that it was going to overhaul the country's judiciary, basically in a move that would weaken the Supreme Court, weaken other justice ministry officials, and give more power to lawmakers. That proposal launched one of the biggest protest movements in the country's history. Over 100,000, sometimes well over 100,000 people protest every week. A large sector of the protests included Israel's high-tech community, okay, which is something we hadn't yet seen before in Israel, the tech community getting very involved in politics because many of them, or the vast majority of them, believe that this judicial overhaul is very bad for business. They say that it is scaring away their investors because what happens is, the fear is that this judicial overhaul could hand too much power, essentially, to the government. And when that happens, it basically facilitates corruption, which is bad for business.
Historically, how important has Israel's tech sector been to the country's economy?
Israel's tech sector is the beating heart of the country's economy. It makes up about 16% of the GDP. It's over 50% of exports for the country. And it makes up a huge part of tax revenue for the country, Israel, especially for the city of Tel Aviv. So the success or the lack of success for Israel's tech sector plays a huge role in the country's economy itself.
You've been speaking to some startup founders. What are they saying they're going to do if this situation persists?
There are a lot of founders who say that even though they don't want to leave Israel, that they may end up having to leave Israel if the current situation of this kind of political uncertainty continues. Many have already decided to incorporate new companies in the United States rather than Israel. That allows them a kind of getaway card if they need to. If things deteriorate so much in the country, if there are capital controls or other political issues caused by the instability, well, they can easily move their company or grow their company in the United States if it's already incorporated there.
I'm curious how people outside the tech sector feel about the prospect that this industry might pull back or even up and leave Israel, given how important it is to the overall economy of Israel.
Firstly, for sure, it is a major concern for the government, which is a fairly right-wing government, while the tech industry is more associated with the center-left. But at the same time, again, the fact that it's a beating heart of the economy, the government knows it can't allow Israeli technology companies to leave the country. At the same time, the Israeli technology industry has kind of created a massive wealth gap in the country as well. So people who are connected to the technology industry can make a decent living, but those who aren't connected to the technology industry are basically living in another world. The country itself is quite proud of the technology industry. It's a source of pride for many Israelis. It's a source of pride for Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who credits himself for changing Israel's economy in such a way that produced or facilitated the growth of this technology industry. You will find people who support Israel around the world constantly talking about the miracle of Israeli technology. So it is part and parcel of the Israeli identity, this tech nation, if you will. So that would be a huge blow, really, to the identity of the country, not just the economy of the country.
All right, that's our reporter Dov Lieber. Thanks for joining us. And that's it for today's Tech News Briefing. For more tech stories, head over to our website, WSJ.com. I'm Zoe Thomas for the Wall Street Journal. Thanks for listening.